Good morning. Had a few minutes, and this last Torah portion that we read on Saturday, yesterday, contained both the second version in Deuteronomy of the Ten Commandments. And as you know, there's some mild differences here and there, but they basically have the same intent and so forth. I've heard it said that the Ten Commandments are the basic outline, and that every one of the other commandments fits neatly into one of those sections, including the first, of course, which is I am the Lord your God. And you will notice throughout the Bible there are several, if not many, commandments which simply say, don't do this, I am the Lord your God. So that's where they fit under. So anyway, that was an aside. And it also contained the Shema, the watchword of Judaism. And the rabbi told an interesting story. I had heard it before, of just how important the Shema is. Shema means hear, or listen. It actually means both. I don't remember the rabbi that was involved in this particular story, but as the story goes, throughout the Second World War, there were a number of Jewish parents who had basically given their children to Christian and Catholic parents for safekeeping during the war, with the intent that if they survived, then they would be returned to their family or as close to their family as possible. Well, the war goes on and ends, and they are sure that there are hundreds of Jewish children still in these homes, in these schools, and in these groups, but all the way up to the Pope and the Vatican are denying that there are children still present. So the rabbi, whoever it was, went into these schools and thought of a plan, and indeed sang Shema Israel Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Ehad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. And sure enough, these children, who, even though they might have been toddlers when they were taught Shema, which is basically the first prayer a child is ever taught, even before they begin to speak, and those children would sing back, blessed is his glorious kingdom forever and forever, which is the second line of Shema. And indeed, this was a way that they were able to identify some Jewish children that otherwise would have been left behind in Christian or Catholic homes. Brought them back to their families, and so forth and so on. So that's how important and how integral the Shema is in the Jewish life. It is the prayer, it's really not a prayer, but a statement, but it is the prayer that every Jew wants to have on his or her lips when they die. And in fact, the story of Rabbi Akiva, as he is flayed alive during the Second Temple time, during the war, as he was flayed alive, sang Shema Israel. Anyway, so I digress. So there's a book called Seek My Face, A Jewish Mystical Theology by Arthur Green. I've read several of his books. I was looking through my bookshelf the other day for a new book to read, and lo and behold, as I opened it, I had read bits and pieces of it previously, but I'm going to get started back on it. But as I opened it up, The first chapter um, is indeed the secret of Shema. At the center of our worship stands a cry. The cry itself is beyond worship, almost beyond words. All of our prayers, the ordained literary creation of our best rabbinic minds, serve as mere accompaniment to this cry. They prepare us for it, lead us up to the appropriate moment, coax the cry forth from deep within us, and then gently guide us back down from it, or back from it. The cry itself, Shema Israel, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one. Or another way of saying it is, let me say it how he did it in the book. Hear, O Israel, Hashem our God, Hashem is one. There are several ways to appropriately interpret it. Is not addressed to God. It is a call to Israel, to ourselves and those around us. It is a call to all who struggle with the divine and the human, who struggle to understand. It is our cry to one another. We call it out as the angels call out, Kadosh, 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 holy, holy, holy. This act of calling demands all of our strength. Sometimes it demands life itself, as I mentioned. It is the act for which the term kavanah, or inner direction, seems to have been made. The call is followed by a whispered response, Blessed is the name of God's glorious kingdom forever and forever. The whispered silence of that response, as though it were some great secret, is broken only on Yom Kippur. On that day alone, we dare to recite the response aloud. The character of that day is in fact transformed by this crucial change in the liturgy. It is a day on which we feel ourselves sufficiently holy to proclaim aloud that this world is God's kingdom, or that earth itself is the realm of God. This book may be read as an inquiry into that cry. It is an attempt to probe deeply into oneness, to seek the meaning of Shema Israel and its place in our religious lives as Jews. It seeks an understanding, of why the proclamation of God is one has such a central role in our lives. The first prayer we learn in childhood, the last words we speak before we die. It attempts to seek out the nature of the great oneness that lies both within and beyond, the one that is not followed by any two, the one that knows no other. Hear, O Israel, Hashem is our God, Hashem is one. This is the higher unity, the inner gate of oneness. According to the unity of Shema, all is one as though there were no many. Nothing but the one exists, and the one is capitalized throughout this book. God after creation and God before creation are one and the same. You are the one, and this is in quotation marks, spoken to God. I think it comes from the liturgy. You are the one until the creation of the world, and you are the one since the creation of the world, unchanged, unaffected. The world makes no difference. Its existence is wholly unreal or totally inconsequential from the point of view of the one. Infinity goes on as though our world, with all of its variety and beauty, with all of its suffering and crisis, makes not the slightest bit of difference. The garbing of divine energy in the countless forms of existence is not when we see from the point of view of infinity. Only the one is real. All else, all variation, all distinction, all separateness are but illusion. We recite the Shema at death as we say it in life, as though to say that our death and our life have made no significant ripple in the ocean, the great ocean of the cosmic one. Only infinity is real here, God of endless cosmic space-time. Blessed is the name of God's glorious kingdom forever and ever. This is the lower unity, the outer gate, the one with many. We refer to it as the unity of God's kingdom. Here we encounter God's oneness in and through the world, not despite it. I will say on that point that remember that Israel means he who struggles with the Almighty. Um, in Islam, they submit. In Christianity, you accept. And in Judaism, we struggle. Um, Here we encounter God's oneness in and through the world, not despite it. Each flower, each blade of grass, each human soul is a manifestation of divinity, a new unfolding of the cosmic one that ever reveals itself through its multicolored garments, in each moment taking on new and ever-changing forms of life. In the very variety of life's riches, we discover the unity that flows through all of them, through them all, the divine life that animates all of being. Here the power and oneness of God are manifest in each of the lowliest and simplest forms of being, including the innate, as well as they are in the most magnificent and complex creations of the human mind. Each of them, real and distinctive in itself, bears witness to the single force of being that animates and unites them all. Existence here is celebrated in variety, in specificity, rather than in vast sameness. This God who represents infinity, but the infinity of one and many. This God too represents infinity, but the infinity of one and many. The whole earth is filled with God's glory. Life is about these two truths. We realize that all that surrounds us, all we do, even our own lives themselves, are emptiness and vanity, that everything but the ultimate one is a mere illusion. At the same time, we know that each moment in our lives and every person and object we encounter exists through the one as a bearer of its presence. These two truths stand in dialectical relation to one another. They represent the same finely wrought transparent vessel, here seen in emptiness, here in fullness. Our religious task is to see through to the oneness of these two truths, to recognize that the one beyond and the one within are the same one. We are then charged to create a human community that lives and witnesses an ongoing response to that insight. This is what it means to be a Jew, nothing less. I think that's beautiful. I'm going to jump back into this book, and I hope you'll join me. I may add a few more chapters or portions, I should say. I never get all chapter done when I'm speaking with y'all. But all of Arthur Green's stuff is really, really good, and he's very insightful, very Kabbalistic. So if you're not into kind of the mystic, and you heard some of that there just as I was reading to you, if you're not into the mystic portions, and I'm not heavy into Kabbalah, I think it has some interesting points. I think it helps to understand some things here and there. But when it gets real esoteric, I guess is the right word, it kind of loses me as well. So most of his stuff does not get so deeply into it that it just turns off the person who's not Kabbalistically minded. So anyway, thank you for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful Sunday and a wonderful week. Shavua Tov. And thanks again. Shalom.